Hi friends, welcome back to my session, and in this session we are going to learn about Azure Kubernetes Services. In the earlier session we had discussed about the Kubernetes. Okay, so instead of deploying and configuring manually the Kubernetes, with the help of the Azure Kubernetes Services, we can simply create the cluster, the backend and the control plane backend configuration will be taken care by the Azure only. Okay, so how that will be done, everything we are going to discuss in this session. Okay, what is the AKS? It is a managed Kubernetes service that can be used to deploy and manage containerized applications. What is the purpose of using Kubernetes? In order to deploy and manage containerized applications. If any application has been deployed over the containers, in order to manage that containerized applications, for simplicity, in order to run in a high availability, high scale, for that purpose only we are going to use this Azure Kubernetes services. And what the features help us? If I adapt for Azure Kubernetes services, it will reduce the complexity. Complexity is nothing but difficulty and operational overhead of managing Kubernetes by offloading much of that responsibility to Azure. Means it will offload responsible to us. Earlier, if we deploy the Kubernetes cluster, we need to take care about the master. At the same time, we need to take care about the nodes and we need to take care about the ports. Everything we need to take care. But if you deploy the same over Azure Kubernetes services, the operational overhead, everything will be taken care of from the backend operations, the master plane, control plane, everything will be taken care by the Azure only. And it is an ideal platform for deploying and managing containerized applications, which requires high availability, high scalability, high portability, and for deploying applications to multiple regions. What is the purpose of deploying application to multiple regions? There will be a lot of reasons. In order to maintain high availability and in order to reduce the time to access. Suppose if I am accessing any application from another region, there will be slightly delay in the response. In order to avoid the same, if I deploy this, if I deploy in the each and every region which I am running the business, whoever the users are using my application in that particular region will be connected to the application in the same region only. Then there will be no speed issues, accessing issues. Okay, it is using open source tools and integrate with the existing DevOps tools as well. Okay, when you create AKS cluster, Azure automatically creates and configures a control plane for you at no cost. Without without costing to you, the Azure only from backend will create the control plane. It will be free of cost. The Azure platform manages the AKS control plane, which is responsible for Kubernetes objects and worker nodes that you deploy to run your applications. So, did you remember what the Azure master node having? It is having API server, it is having etcd cluster, it is having controllers, it is having the kube schedulers. Everything will be taken care by the Azure only right now if you adapt for Azure Kubernetes services. Okay. Under what are the use cases for using the Azure Kubernetes services? Lift and shift to containers with AKS. If I want to migrate my existing application to containers and run them in a fully managed Kubernetes environment in order to achieve high availability, high scalability, fault tolerance. There are a lot of features available in the Kubernetes. Because of those reasons only, most of the companies are preferring to use the Kubernetes in order to deploy the high available applications. And microservices simplify the deployment and management of microservices based applications. As we know, because of the microservice based applications only, we are introduced the concept of containers, and in order to manage the containers only, we have introduced the concept of Kubernetes. Okay, fine. What are the features? of Kubernetes. Automated management and scalability of Kubernetes cluster for the container, as we already know. End-to-end developer productivity and debugging of CI/CD pipelines, logging and automated node maintenance as well. We will be able to create the CI/CD pipelines. What is the purpose of CI/CD pipelines? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. Whenever there should be any changes happen in your code, then automatically the same will be integrated and the same will be deployed over the AKS cluster. The same will be able to access by the end users as well. Okay. Advanced identity and access management to monitor and maintain container security for governance at scale. The main thing is for any kind of company's environment, identity and access management. First of all, it need to protect their environment in order to protect their network from external attacks. If anybody can be able to access the network, then what is the use to run their business for companies? First, the company is looking for the security only. How the security will be achieved? First of all, we need to control the identity access management. Whoever is authorized and authenticated, then only will be able to access the resources of company. Nobody, no others from the external network will not at all will be able to connect to my company's network. That is the basic security rules which has been followed by the majority of the companies. It is a mandatory rule, and it supports for Linux, Windows and IoT resource and AKS deployment of the infrastructure on your application at Azure. Okay, as we already told, it is platform independent. We can run on any platform. Pricing. Coming to pricing, the AKS only demands for payment of virtual machine only that has been used, and the storage which we had used, which we had used, and the associate networking resource which we had consumed. So whatever the resources which we had consumed, that only will be chargeable. The Azure will not charge us for the things which had been created on the backend. It will not charge. The things which we are used for that only it will be charged. Okay, fine. Okay, we hope almost we had covered the theoretical session. Then we will start the practical session. Just log in into the Azure portal. So right now I am in the Azure portal. Here the Kubernetes service option is there. Suppose if you don't have, you can search from the universal search bar. First of all, if I want to create any services, first of all, what I need to create? I need to create the resource group. Yeah, quickly I am going to create the resource group. Click on create, and I am going to set my resource group name as rg_Kubernetes. Okay, review plus create. The resource group will be created and it is the boundary. And do not forget guys, if you create any resources in the Azure, instead of deleting each and everything, try to delete the resource group. If you delete the resource group, then automatically whatever the resources which we had created under that resource group will be deleted automatically. You don't need to you don't need to delete each and every resource separately. If you delete the resource group, automatically all the resources will be deleted. Okay, do not forget to delete. If you are forget delete, the charges will be high. That will become a somewhat difficulty for you in order to pay the same. Okay, yes, go home and click on the Kubernetes service. Just create. Here if you want to create automatic Kubernetes cluster, means here what are the things which are required automatically, here the options will be provided, but I want to create my customized Kubernetes cluster. So that's why I'm going to select the Kubernetes cluster customizable setup. Click here. If you click here, then you will be able to see basics. Pay as you go. Yes, my subscription is pay as you go only, and the resource group is rg_Kubernetes. And here the cluster preset configuration. Here we have the production standard. The production standard which is suitable for the applications serving for production traffic, and it is recommended for best practice. Am I created for the production purpose? No. And dev or test, best for developing new workloads or testing workloads. Yes, this will be used for the testing purpose and means for lab purpose as well. And production economy, best for serving production traffic in cost conscious. If you are okay, if there is any interruptions to your application, then you can go with the production economy. And production enterprise, it is the most costlier thing in this. It is for serving production traffic with rigorous permissions and hardening security. Means if you select this, you need to provide some set of permissions in order to enhance the security. Okay, as this is created for the lab purpose, so that's why I'm going to select the dev or test. Fine. The Kubernetes name, my Kubernetes cluster. Okay, here the Kubernetes cluster name, my Kubernetes cluster. I'm going to create in the East US region, and availability zone, one availability zone is must. And if you want to high availability of this cluster, you can select the multi zones, but here as this is for lab purpose, one zone is enough. Here I'm going to select the free. Suppose if you select the standard, it is recommended for mission critical and production workloads that requires 5000 nodes per cluster. Okay, and using availability zones 99.9% for clusters, not using availability zones, and 99.95 for clusters using availability zones. Means if you select this standard, there will be uptime of 99.95 if you select the multiple availability zones. If you are not selecting multiple availability zones, there will be a 99.9% uptime will be there. But here the free is enough for me, and Kubernetes version by default 1.29.10. It is the default. You have the different versions are there. Suppose if you have a specific requirement for that particular version, you can select, but I am going to select this default version. Okay, and automatic upgrade. Okay, if I click here, updates the cluster to the latest patch version within the set minor version. Means whenever any recent patches has been released, it will automatically update the cluster to that particular patch without your intervention. Okay, and update the enabled with stable, update the cluster to the latest patch version of the n1 generally available minor version. Means it will be updating the cluster to the recent patches which is stable, the n1 generally. Okay, enabled with rapid, update the cluster to the latest patch version of the latest generally available minor version. Minor version, here major version. Minor version is nothing but there will be a no code breaking is there. Major version means there will be a chance the code will be breakable. Code breaking is there. So there will be total change. Here minor change, no worries. Without having any issues, we can update. But coming to major version, we need to cross verify before moving that particular version. Like Windows 10, Windows 11, so Windows 10 to Windows 11, Windows 8 to Windows 10, like that. If it is a minor version, in Windows 10 only we are using that multiple versions now. Like that, in the similar way, where there is a difference between minor version, major version. So right now the updation is not required, so that's why I'm going to disable. Once I select the disable, there is a no schedule. And node, if I want to update my node with the recent security patches, then your node won't have security updates applied automatically. You are responsible for all the security updates. If I select the none, then I will be responsible for the security updates. Suppose if I select the unmanaged, OS updates are applied automatically through the OS built-in patching infrastructure. Means OS updates, it will automatically push. If any recent patch has been released, it will be automatically updated to the operating system. Security patch. Security patches are applied. VHD is updating and the existing missions are updated to that VHD. Okay. So as for this purpose, it is not required. So that's why I'm selecting none. And authentication and authorization. And if you have the existing domain, because of enter ID will be generated if you have any existing domain. Right now, as I'm going to create for the lab purpose, as I don't have any domain right now with me, so that's why I'm going to select the local accounts with Kubernetes RBAC. RBAC stands for role based access control. Okay, next. Here, here agent pool is there. One. So if you want to select the new base, you can, it is a system mode. Just delete and add node pool. If you want to continue, you can continue, otherwise you can delete. Pool 1, I am going to mention pool 1 and it is mode, user mode, because of I am going to create the user. Suppose if you want, you can check the system as well, but right now I am going with the user mode only. And OS, I am going to select the Ubuntu Linux availability zone. Zone 1 is enough for me and recommended. Okay, and node size, choose a size. So I am going to select the node size. Okay, I am going to D4S V3. Select, and the maximum node count is 2 is enough for me, because of I am going to create this for lab purpose. Okay, from pool 1 it is in user mode and I am selecting the OS Ubuntu. The availability zone is 1, availability is enough. I am not using the Azure Spot instances. So we will discuss on later what is Azure Spot instances. Spot instance is not much more. It will be available with the reasonable price. Suppose if you it is unused instances in the Azure. Suppose if Azure have the requirement of that unused missions, then it will send a notification to us. If you are okay to bear that price, it will be the instance will be with us only. Otherwise, the instance will be moved to the some other user. Okay, and max ports per node. How many max nodes are? 30. We can create 30 max. Okay, by leaving all, I am just clicking add. Okay, creating Azure Kubernetes without a system mode is not permitted. Okay, so I think, okay, I'm going to create one more mode as well. Pool 2. Let me check whether it will work out or not. Okay, fine, without disturbing anything. I am going to select okay V3, then select add. Okay, review plus create. I am going to select the pool 1 and review plus create. The validation is in progress and you can leave it all the things which are not actually required. There are different options are available. Suppose if you want to check the same, in the meanwhile we will discuss. First of all, the creation of cluster will take some around 10 minutes of time. The validation has been failed. Just have a look why it has been failed. The pre-flight container resource failed. Insufficient regional VPC quota. Okay, just a moment. Node pool. So pool 1 user Ubuntu Linux. Okay, 122. Okay, 30. Choose the size. Okay, DS8 V3. I'm going to select this. Select. Update. But only 10 remaining users request a quota increase. Okay, submit. So the virtual CPU has the limit exceeded, so that's why it is showing somewhat error. So I'm just requesting for the quota. So once the new has been updated, just we are going to create the Kubernetes service once again. Yes, I hope it will not take that much time. Total regions virtual CPUs. Okay, please wait for a few minutes. Okay, then what will happen here? node count 1 to 2. Okay, done. The pool one has been already selected. Review plus create. Then check whether it will be passed or not. No, it has been not been passed. So go to the pool one, and the pool one, okay, 8 vCPUs and 32 GB memory. So here I am going to select the 10. I think it would be okay. 1 3, fine. Update the pool one, review plus create. So will it be created? No, something is missing. Just bear with me for some time. I am going to sort out this. Pool one Azure, okay. Choose size. Okay. 16 virtual CPUs are needed for this configuration, but only 10 virtual CPUs of 10 remain in your subscription. Okay, there is some issue going on with, I think, I'm going, instead of selecting this, I'm going to done what. Okay, DSA, DS2 V3, maybe it will work out. Okay, update, pool one, review plus create. I hope it will be succeeded now, because of earlier I had selected some high-end mission. Because of the reason it has been failed. Right now I had selected some. Yes, click on create. Fine. So the Kubernetes cluster creation has been initiated. It will take some time to get it created. In the meanwhile, what we will do, we will explore to the options which are in the Kubernetes. Okay, so go to home, just click on the Kubernetes. I am not going to create, as the creation is already in progress. I just want to show whether what are the options which we have in the Azure Kubernetes. So if you select here, as we have Kubernetes resource group and dev test and my cluster 1 and east US availability zone is 1. These things we had already discussed, and here it is disabled, here it is none, no security patches are required, and local account, okay, node pools. This thing we had already selected. This is system. If you want to create one more, just select pool to pool to and user and Ubuntu Linux, and availability zone is 1, and availability is 1 is enough, and choose size. So here I'm going to select the size. I will show to you as the DSA V2. Okay, DS2 V2, it's enough for me. The general purpose mission and auto scale as usual. Maximum node count is 2 only. I don't want more than that, and max no pods per node. It's my wish. I can mention 10 to 250 and add. And if you want, enable virtual nodes. Virtual nodes allows burstable scaling backed by serverless Azure container instances. If you think about the Azure container instances, it is a serverless, means the server is not visible to me. What is a server? If you create any virtual machine, then if you are able to see the virtual machine, you can make it as a server. But right now, if you select this Azure containerization, it is a serverless. If you want to integrate, you can. And networking, if you go to the networking, private access, enable a private cluster, enable a private cluster. If I enable this private cluster to restrict worker nodes to API access, means if I enable this, it will restrict the worker node to the API access, enhancing your Kubernetes workload security and isolation. Means here with the help of the network, what we are doing, we are simply isolating. If I enable this, the worker node will not be able to access the API. It will increase the workloads, security and isolation, and public access. If I make this enable, the public will be able to access. No. And container networking. The network assigning pod IPs from the private IP. Best for scalability. Means internally it will be assign the IP addresses. Okay. Azure, previously named Azure CN, assigns pod IP addresses from the host VNet. Okay. Means if we create the virtual network, from the virtual network only the IPs will be assigned. Okay, like this we can make the network configuration, but what we will do generally, so by creating we can contact the network admins in order to provide the how they are configured the network. So accordingly we can make the resources inside of the network. Okay, integrations. In this, if I want to integrate this Kubernetes cluster with the Azure Container Registry, generally what is the purpose of using Azure Container Registry? In order to store images. Okay, then automatically, if I integrate this, automatically if I push any image into this Azure Container Registry, the same will be deployed over Azure Kubernetes cluster as well. Okay, and service mesh Istio. Enable Istio to configure traffic management, maximize observability capacities, and reinforce service to service security measures without changing the application code. If I enable Istio, right now it is not required. And if you want to apply the Azure policy, right, by default it will be disabled mode only. If you want to enable, you can. And if you go here, monitoring, with the help of the monitoring, with the help of Azure Monitor, we can be able to monitor the CPU, memory matrix, everything we can be able with the help monitor with the help of Azure monitoring tool. If you want logs, you can enable the logs. Then logs will be generated. Names, if you want Azure monitor workspace, you can. In this way, there are a lot of options are there. So based on your requirement, based on the company requirement, you are going to add those things. And security, your subscription is protected by the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Basic Plan. Basic security. Okay, it is a basic security. By default, it will be enabled by the cloud service provider. And advanced infrastructure resource group. It is advanced things. Tax generally it is not mandatory. It's every time it is optional only. Majorly we are using this tax in the automation purpose only. Okay, still the deployment of cluster is in process. Okay, and here if I review plus create, it will be reviewed, and later it will be deployed. So in order to explore the different options which are available in the AKS only, I just created this. Okay, you can ignore about this tab, because of in order to explore to the different options which are available in the AKS, in order to show to you, I just made this duplicate tab. I just disable, means I just cancel the tab. So just we need to wait until it has been created. So once it has been successfully created, what the things we are going to done is, we need to create some manifest file, and we are going to some enter the same manifest will be applied to this cluster. So once it has been successfully applied to the cluster, what will happen? It will refresh. Okay, there will be some internet disconnection will be there. Just click on cancel. Again, I'm going to connect the internet and I'm going to try the same. As we are creating the infrastructure over the cloud, means on internet, so it will not impact anything because of the infrastructure will be created on the cloud environment. So once the network connection has been re-established successfully, then we can be able to see the deployment progress. Okay, just if you go here Azure Kubernetes Services, then you will be say my Kubernetes cluster. Okay, it is still in deployment process. So here the deployment is in person. So once it has been successfully done, this pop-up will went off. Okay, yes, the deployment has been succeeded. Successfully we had created the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, fine. Once the cluster has been created, just please check overview. Under the resource group rg underscore Kubernetes, it has been created and the state is running and the cluster operation state is succeeded. The subscription is pay as you go. The location is to S and this is the subscription ID, and Kubernetes version is 1.29.10 and API server address, application program interface server address. This is the address, and network configuration. I had used Azure CNI overlay and node pools. We have the two node pools are there. Okay. If I want to attach any containerized from here as well, I can be able to attach. Right now, I just want to connect to my cluster, which has been created just now. So if I want to create a cluster, okay, I need to just open the Cloud Shell. I'm going to open the Cloud Shell. So once the Cloud Shell has been opened, at the same time, by using the different options, you will be able to connect to the cluster. By using the Cloud Shell, you can connect. By using the Azure CLI, you will be able to connect. By using the run command, you will be able to connect. But here, I am going to connect with the help of the Cloud Shell. Okay. And I just need to run the following commands. Set the cluster subscription. Okay. Here, just paste it. Yes, enter. Done. Once this has been done, download the cluster credentials. Just copy it, paste it, enter. Merge the Kubernetes cluster as current context in home. Okay, fine. So if you want, right now it has been successfully connected. So if you want to check all the deployments in the namespaces, just paste here. Yes, check. It will list out all the namespaces. How many namespaces we have? Only we have one namespace, Cube system. So that will be displayed here. Okay, and here the creation of AKS cluster is done and we are connecting with the Cloud Shell. Okay, we had already executed the commands, and if we want to check the list of nodes, how many nodes are there? kubectl get nodes. This is the command which we are going to use. Paste. Is it displaying the nodes? Yes, it is displaying the nodes pool 1, pool 2. Two pools are there. Fine. And if I want to make my deployment over cluster, what the first thing I need to done? I need to create some file. Here I am going to create VI is the editor tool which is used to create the file. I am going to here it is the manifest file. Just copy the same and enter, paste. Okay, here YAML. Okay, fine. The file has been created. Okay, if I want to enter into the any file, just press I. It will be enter into the insert mode. Then if you want the code, if you want the content of YAML code, you can refer the following link. Okay, I am going to refer the following link. Just paste here. Here also you can be able to see the each and every deployment here. Okay, and here I am going to copy the same thing I had mentioned over here as well. Okay, and paste. Okay, escape semicolon WQ. Fine. Successfully, I had pasted the content into the AKS store quickstart.yml and just successfully saved. So once the file has been ready, what I need to done, it needs to apply to the cluster. How that will be done? How that will be done? I will show it to you. Okay, kubectl apply. Just copy the command and enter here. Yes. Is it applied? Yes, it has been applied. It will, yes, it has been done successfully. We will got the output. Fine. Then if I want to check the pods, if I applied the file, then pods will be generated now in order to run the containers. If I want to check the same, paste here, Azure, otherwise kubectl get pods. Yes, the pod is showing now. State is two are running, one has been initiated, it is pending. It in the second one is in the creating state only, container creating state only. So it will take some time to get it created fully. Okay, and if I want to check the external IP in order to test the application which has been successfully deployed or not, just this is the command kubectl get service storefront -watch. Here, had you observed this 74.179.87? If you use this IP, then you will be able to see the content which has been deployed over the Kubernetes cluster. But it will take some time. Yes. Is it reflecting? Yes, it is reflecting. Means we had successfully deployed the YAML file which we had created over the Azure Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Then we had successfully done it. So we had successfully completed the practical session as well. So as I already told to you, once you finish the task, you just need to delete the resource group. Okay, by deleting the resource group, all the resources which had been created under this will be deleted automatically. Okay. Okay guys, this is about the Kubernetes session, and we will meet up in the next session with the new topic. Until bye, thank you for joining into my session. Signing off. Bye bye.